Every night at exactly 11:42, the hallway light across from my door turns on. Not flickers, not gradual, just on. Like someone inside flips a switch at the same second every night. I noticed it the first week I moved in. At first, I thought it was on a timer. Some buildings do that. Motion sensors, scheduled lights, things like that. But this one doesn't feel automatic. It's too precise, too deliberate. And I've never seen anyone walk in or out of that apartment. The hallway is small, 4 units total. Mine, one to the left, one to the right, and the one directly across from me. If someone lived there, I would have seen them by now. The walls are thin, the floors creak. Even opening a door echoes down the hallway. But that apartment stays quiet during the day. No footsteps, no voices, no movement. At night, though, it's different. The first time I heard something, I wasn't even sure it came from there. It was late, maybe a little after midnight. I was lying in bed, half asleep, when I heard what sounded like a chair dragging across the floor. Slow, heavy. Then it stopped. I got up and stood near my door, just listening. Nothing after that. The next morning, the hallway was completely still again, like always. A few nights later, I heard footsteps. Soft, uneven. Not walking across the room, more like pacing in a small space, back and forth. I checked time. 11:42 had already passed. The light outside their door was on. I remember staring at that thin line of brightness under their door and trying to match it with the sounds. It didn't feel like someone just living their life. It felt contained, like whatever was making those sounds never got close to the door, like it stayed somewhere deeper inside. One night, I heard what sounded like a television. Just for a second, a low hum like static, then a brief burst of sound. Voices, maybe. I couldn't make out words. Then silence again. It didn't turn off gradually. It just cut out. That same hard stop, like the light. I started paying attention to the time more closely after that. Every night, 11:42. Not 11:41, not 11:43. Always the same. I even waited by my door once, watching through the peephole. The hallway was empty, still. And then it happened. The light inside their apartment snapped on, and a soft glow spilled out from the edges of the door. No footsteps leading up to it, no shadow moving across the floor. Just light. I didn't sleep much after that. A few days later, I ran into the landlord downstairs. It was casual. I didn't want to make it sound like I was complaining. I just asked if the tenant across from me kept odd hours. He looked at me for a second, like he didn't understand the question. Then he asked me which unit I meant. I told him, the one directly across from mine. He didn't answer right away, just frowned a little. Then he said that apartment had been empty for a while. I told him the light turns on every night, that I hear things sometimes. He shook his head, not dismissive, just confused. Then he said something that didn't make sense. He said that unit had been sealed since last year. There was a gas leak, not a small one. The whole place had to be evacuated. He said it wasn't safe to reopen yet. I asked him if anyone had been inside recently. He said no. No one was supposed to go in at all. I told him about the light again, about the sounds. He didn't argue with me. He just said he'd show me. We went upstairs together. The hallway felt different with someone else there, less quiet. He walked straight to the door across from mine and pointed at the frame. There was a seal stretched across it, thin, almost clear, but visible if you looked closely. It ran from the door to the wall, right over the gap. If the door opened even an inch, it would tear. It wasn't torn, not even slightly. He tapped it lightly with his finger. It didn't move. Then he stepped back and said, "See?" I didn't say anything, because I had. Every night. The light. He told me maybe I was seeing a reflection or light from another unit, but that didn't make sense. The angle was wrong, and the timing. It was too exact. He left after that, and the hallway went quiet again. That night, I stayed awake. I didn't turn on any lights in my apartment. I just sat near the door, watching through the peephole, waiting. 11:42 came, and the light turned on. Same as always. But this time, I didn't look away. The glow inside the apartment was steady, soft like it always is, and then I saw something move. Not in the hallway, inside. Through the narrow gap between the door and the frame, there's just enough space to see a sliver of the interior. Most nights it's just light. This time I could see part of the wall and the switch. It's positioned just inside the door, a little to the right. You wouldn't notice it unless you were looking for it. I hadn't noticed it before, but now I could see it clearly. The switch was down, off. I watched it for a few seconds. Nothing happened. Then it started to move. Slowly. Not a quick flick, not like a hand flipping it. It eased upward, steady and controlled, until it clicked into place, and the light got slightly brighter. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. There was no one there. No shadow, no hand, no shape. Just the switch, moving on its own. I stepped back from the door without realizing I was doing it. My chest felt tight, like the air had changed. I didn't check again that night. I stayed in my room until morning. When I finally opened my door, the hallway looked exactly the same. Quiet, empty. The light across the hall was off. The seal was still there, unbroken, exactly like before. I walked up to it slowly, looked at it closely. There was no sign it had ever been disturbed. No tear, no shift, nothing. I stood there for a while, trying to figure out what I had seen, trying to make it make sense. It didn't. I went back inside my apartment, closed the door behind me, and that's when I noticed the light. A thin strip of it, right at the bottom of my door, coming from inside. I froze. I was sure I had turned everything off before sitting in the dark the night before. I hadn't left anything on, not in the living room, not in the kitchen, nothing. The light wasn't bright, just enough to outline the gap between the door and the floor. Steady, silent. I didn't move toward it. I just stood there, looking at it, trying to remember if I had missed something, if I had forgotten. But I know I didn't. I know exactly what I left on and what I didn't. The light stayed there, unchanging, like it had been on for a while, like it had been waiting.